Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another EECS 440 lecture. It is good to see you. We don't have many of these lectures remaining. We are getting toward the end of the semester, and we are only going to have one more primary lecture, and that is coming on next Wednesday. We then have our showcase the following week on Monday. We won't have lecture that day. It will just be you, your project setup, and we'll talk more about the showcase and what it means and how it's going to work very soon, okay? But we have a few things releasing today. So you have your P3 marketing assignment. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. On Monday, we're going to have your playtesting session, but also a film session for, do you know which film is our final film? Did anyone look? It is going to be a film that kind of combines the two relevant, timely topics of XR and AI. It is a film, Ryan Reynolds' film called Free Guy. Okay, has anyone ever heard of this? Anyone seen it? It is a kind of an interesting film. It is, again, returning to kind of the big blockbuster Hollywood style of films after we watched the very challenging and kind of difficult to digest Black Mirror. But it is a pretty fun film, a pretty funny film, and it does have some interesting ideas about what the future could look like if AI gets so good to the point where it starts to feel too human. Okay? And so we're going to be watching that on Monday, later at night. There will be no lecture due to the playtest happening that day and due to the film, okay? And then we'll finish up with our final lecture on next Wednesday, okay? You are almost there. I wish we could give you more time for these final projects. You're working hard. It was really fun to see them and watch them evolve when we graded them yesterday morning. So if you haven't seen your grade yet, if you haven't watched the feedback footage from Andy and I, please do so, as that might give you some ideas as to how you might move forward. If I recall, the grades were very high. We think you're pretty much on pace. You're doing a good job, and so please keep it up, okay? Let's go ahead and look at a company today. This company is interesting because it's one of the first companies we've actually seen be listed in a lecture here and then die. Okay, this company is Toast. As far as I can tell, their website is down. Rest in peace. Actually, wait a second. Maybe they just changed the URL. Maybe they're still here. There we go. Actually, no, they're back. They're back, okay? What is this? Has anything changed? Precision clarity, vibrant color in every frame, experience that Avigent difference. Avigent's light engine technology brings high-performance visuals to lightweight AR glasses, making them perfect for everyday wear. When we talk about the Ray-Bans from Meta starting to really take off, right, this is kind of one of the technology providers for that kind of thing, okay? This is a company that doesn't manufacture their own headsets. It doesn't manufacture their own hardware, their own glasses. You know what they do accomplish? They create technology and they create patents. They create designs, okay? This is a company that has designed a very small little device that's called a light engine. Now, they don't manufacture this themselves, okay? They have a third party manufacture it, and then they simply sell the design, and then you can manufacture it. It's a super tiny light engine. It's capable of doing projections. It is very small. And if you are a company that is trying to enter the kind of wearable AR glasses market, this is a company you might consider buying, or you might consider licensing their patents to kind of catch up to the metas of the world, okay? So blah, 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 blah. We make the technology smaller, good image quality. Let's take a look here, okay? Wow, that's kind of cool, right? A kind of zoomed in video of the manufacturing process. Looks like it's pretty automated. That's impressive, okay? Maybe this is manufactured in California or wherever they're at. If it's super highly automated, it might still make financial sense. They partner with Qualcomm, okay? They partner with Vuzix, whatever on earth that is. Celid, I'm not sure who they are. Avigant's team is very small, actually. This is partly how you can understand this is mainly a design firm, and their main product are patents, okay? A quick story for you. I think in 2009 or so, Google made a shocking purchase. Google purchased the famous mobile phone company, Motorola, okay? And I think it was Motorola. And what was really interesting is that they bought Motorola, famous for making mobile phones, but then a couple months later, they sold Motorola. I think they bought them for like $13 billion, and then a few months later, they sold them for $3 billion. Why would you do such a thing? That's a terrible business deal, right? What are you getting out of this? You just bought something for $13 billion, and then you sold them for $3 billion. Just a few months later, Google got wrecked, right? Well, no, because they kept one thing. They kept Motorola's patents, okay? They kept Motorola's patents, and because Google has their own engineering teams, okay? They have their own expertise. They know how to make mobile devices, okay, and design them and write their own software. But what Google didn't have at the time was a strong suite of mobile-related patents. Do you know why this is really important? I went to a legal talk with some of the legal heads at Electronic Arts about a decade ago. And they said that game companies were constantly violating each other's patents, but nothing ever happened. Do you know why? Mutually assured patent destruction. Everyone has patents and everyone is violating each other's patents. And as a result, you never sue someone else. Okay, you never sue someone else who's a big player, who has a big treasure trove, a war chest of patents. Why? Because then they'll sue you, and yeah, you might get them on a few patents, but they're going to get you on a few patents. You're going to burn a lot of time and energy. Nothing gets accomplished. Now, if you want to enter the mobile phone space and compete, you're Google, but you don't have any mobile patents. You've never really done this before. What's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to you the moment you try and make something in the mobile space and you accidentally violate an Apple patent? Because you're going to. By mistake, okay? They're just simply too many. What is Apple going to do to you? What are they going to do? Go for it. What are they going to do to you? Yeah, they're going to sue you. They're going to kick you out, right? So get out of here, right? You don't belong here, Google. You don't do this stuff. All right, you don't have any patents with which to defend yourself. So mutually assured patent destruction, okay, is what prevents big companies that have a lot of patents on each other from suing each other. If you don't have enough patents in that space, you can't play, okay? You're going to get kicked out right away. Then so a company like Google buys a company like Motorola, not because it likes Motorola or its products or its teams. It buys them just for the patents, and that sells the rest, okay? And that is the actual value of a company like Motorola in many cases. That is the value of a company like this, Avigant. If you want to make AR glasses, but you're afraid that Meta is going to sue you into the ground, what are you going to do? You need to get some patents, okay? You don't have time to make them yourself, but what you can do is you can buy a team like this, all right? Buy Avigant. And then buy a bunch of other AR mobile teams, and now you've got patents, now you can fight, okay? And I'm not saying this is a good thing, okay? But this is a outcome, this is a downstream effect of the patent system in the United States, and it's something that you need to be aware of, okay? And so that's why some smaller companies like this exist. They don't really build their own products, but they do design patents and acquire patents, and thus they become valuable by doing so. So anyway, that's why a small team can have something like this. So investors, right? They're partnered with some different companies. They might be licensing their patents to them. But do we have a video? We do have a video. I'm going to show you this, okay? Here's a video of their technology. Let's take a look. Okay, here we go.
Mixed reality is going to change the way that we fundamentally interact with all our information and devices today.
It's going to change the way we learn. It's going to allow us to not have to travel because we can be interacting with digital others and feel like they're there.
Most of the experiences that we want to have in mixed reality happen up close. I want to be able to hold something in my hand, bring it up close to see all of that amazing detail. But the problem is, mixed reality devices today have a very difficult time displaying virtual images up close.
If you're using current systems, they only have one focal point. The optics just don't feel very natural, and you can't get things close to your face.
This is a fundamental limit to current displays that's holding back the entire mixed reality industry, and we have a solution today. Avigant's light field technologies. When I look at a virtual object sitting in my hands, if the focus of that object doesn't match the focus of my hand, it doesn't feel like it's there. It feels like it's out there somewhere. And not only does it affect how real it looks, that's just getting confusing to your eyes and your brain.
If mixed reality is going to succeed, we have to have technologies that let the eyes be comfortable. It's got to feel natural.
What makes light field feel so real is it actually displays images at multiple focal planes simultaneously. We really are recreating the way that you naturally see. But eyes can naturally focus between multiple objects just like they do in real life. It feels like a magical experience. It's as if you're really there.
The optics of Avigant let me see images in a more natural way. They feel more real. They let me get closer to the images.
The success of the entire mixed reality industry hinges upon having light field technologies. Think about all the interactions that you want to have with your virtual object. Creating something in my hand, interacting with a character. None of this is possible without light field displays.
We are excited to be working with Avigant because we are driving fundamental technological innovations to transform the vision of AR, VR, MR into reality.
We've proven that our core display technology is manufacturable. We're using that expertise to develop mixed reality experience that feels natural.
A few weeks ago I came to Avigant and I was able to see this firsthand, and it was incredible. Their technology brings the ability to unlock tremendous value with unique applications in multiple industries. Mixed reality glasses are about to get really affordable and they're about to get really lightweight. So we're going to wear them all the time because we're going to compute with them. We're going to have screens around us all the time. I don't want to ever take these things off.
Light field is the missing link to truly realistic and interactive mixed reality experiences.
So this video has some very cool technology, a technology that could be very important in the future, right? As the Ray-Bans start to prove their worth, right? Lighter, kind of less involved, but more usable AR. But this is also in part a hype video, okay? A company that has a bunch of patents in the AR space really, really hopes that augmented reality takes off. Why? Because if AR has to wait another decade to take off, the company might not be around that long. They might not be able to pay their employees that long, and they may struggle, okay? So you have to be very careful when you're looking at companies like this to kind of figure out what their real end goal is and what they actually do, okay? The dark side of this kind of company is something you've heard of before, a patent troll, okay? A company whose only real purpose is to try and acquire patents with no intention to ever use them or build something that helps the world. Their only objective is to acquire likely important patents, and then they go and find people who are actually trying to build the thing and sue them and basically become a parasitic relationship with the actual industry. So, keep that in mind. Patent trolls and patent companies are out there. They are very relevant. This company has $62 million in funding, which is very impressive. That will pay the rent for a few months in San Francisco. And they have, it looks like 11 to 50 people. So kind of cool. Okay. All right. I think I've reminded you of the Get a Job guide a few times. You can use this to find opportunities, academic opportunities, all that good stuff. Just don't neglect it. Okay. A while back, the metaverse was this idea that it could be the next big hype wave in tech, right? As we've talked before, hype waves are very dangerous. We're going to talk more about how technology and hype cycles work. But the metaverse now appears to be a pretty nasty hype wave, okay? A pretty nasty hype cycle. The idea, and one that Mr. Zuckerberg really hoped was going to come to pass, is we're all going to be living in his metaverse. Thus, he can monetize that. He can have a lot more control than he does now. He has his own platform that's really important, okay? The metaverse was also very big in the crypto space. Blockchain coming into the world as kind of an interesting way to do a decentralized, trustless database suddenly was going to be the key to everything, from doing your homework to doing real estate deals to medical records and all of that. The channel Folding Ideas, a kind of essayist channel that covers a lot of interesting technology topics and goes into deep detail on them, covered the metaverse and blockchain in a somewhat recent video. It's called "The Future is a Dead Mall, Decentraland and the Metaverse." And I want to show you just the beginning of this video to give you a feel for how a lot of people see technology, how they see hype waves, and how those hype waves sometimes cause trust to be lost. So let's take a look at the start of this video.
I got another big idea. Let's get AMC to put a theater in Decentraland. What if they not only got into online in a big way, but still kept the spirit of physically going to the theaters and hanging out with friends? They can sell tickets that you can buy using Nana. Users will be able to walk to a pizza kiosk and order pizza, and then go to the theater and hang out with their friends and watch a movie together, all without leaving their house and the game. Edit. It's happening. Someone built a theater. Yo, AMC, where you at? You don't want to miss this opportunity.
Man, I walked and blew my mind. Something was playing. I watched it for at least 5 minutes and video was clear as fuck. Checked it out and it blew me away. This is absolutely sick. Who owns it? This will be awesome once VR is integrated and you can do screen sharing with a group of friends, so it'll be like watching the movie together. I could even see Decentraland movie gift cards being sold at the supermarket in the area where all the gift cards are located. That'd be so cool. I wish I could take all my Bitcoin and live inside this world. Dope ass. Clap, 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 thumbs up. Okay, high five. 100, 100.
If you ever wanted a deep dive on the topic of the metaverse, where the hype kind of came from, what happened to it, in what ways did it work out and advance our society, and in what ways did it kind of flop, Dan Olson has a 2-hour video that deep dives on this topic. And the gist of it is that for all the promises that were made of the metaverse, we're going to live in it, it's going to really change our lives, the quality just never was really there, okay? And when you go to these worlds that we're supposed to all be living in, they're supposed to be vibrant societies today, they're empty. They're very empty, and they're full of investments in weird, like, crypto coins. And a lot of the hype for this particular vision of the metaverse appears to have come from people who bought in to a coin offering and then really wanted people to live here in part because it would make the coin more valuable, at which point you could actually cash out, right? So I encourage you to give video essays like this. There are lots of them on YouTube, right? They come at topics like the metaverse from many different perspectives. If this topic interests you, I encourage you to watch some of them and watch them critically. Not everything you might agree with, but they present a lot of very interesting ideas, okay? And just a reminder, we have to be very careful. As people who understand these technologies at a deeper level than the public, people will look to us, all right, to help them understand what these technologies are, what are they legitimately good at and impactful for, and what is just empty hype, okay? because people have gotten burned and burned hard by these hype waves that promise to change the world, get a lot of their money in investment, and then do nothing, okay? Or just outright scam them, okay? People don't trust technology these days, and they don't trust technologists. They don't trust people like us, and there's a good reason for that, okay? All right. So give it a look if you're curious. Definitely worth 2 hours of your time, okay? A quick reminder, when you deal with VR headsets in this course, make sure that at the end of the day, you get them all wrapped up and looking nice like in this photo right here. You do not want cables hanging off the table and on the ground. Very easy to run over these cables, and then the super expensive headset can't really be replaced very easily, okay? Today, one of my objectives for you is I want to walk through this idea of extended reality, not as a means to make money, okay? Or even solve like a more concrete social problem. But I want to talk about extended reality as a means of artistic expression, okay? How can we use these technologies to express our ideas, express our experiences, our outlooks on life, our perspectives in ways that are going to be a little bit better, a little bit more impactful, or a little bit more expressive than just traditional art and stuff like that. Okay, so I have a question for you, and this is perhaps an artsy question. What does it mean for something to be art or to feel like it is art? It's kind of a strange question. It's one that you can feel, but you often struggle to put it into words. What makes something feel like art? Feel artsy in a good and a bad sense? Have you ever gone into a film and you just feel like this was a really artistic piece versus like you're seeing Rambo 20? Okay, you're watching Rambo 20, okay, a sequel, and it feels like all the other ones, and you feel this was pretty fun, but it kind of feels like junk food. Have you ever felt that? You're playing a game, it's cozy, right? And it's nice and you like it, but it's a bit junk food, right? When you ask what is art, there are many, many, many different ways to answer that question. It's kind of the same question as asking what is a game. It's a very useful thought experiment, and you can kind of feel what a game is. You can kind of feel that something is artsy versus not, but it's very hard to pin down exactly what you mean, okay? But we're going to try and do that today. It might help to talk about some instances of artistic things out there right now. When you think about art, when that word pops into your head, you might think about, paintings, right? Drawing, right? Maybe doing some writing, okay? Art, visuals, okay? Aesthetics. And when it comes to XR and art, there are some impressive things out there in terms of helping you create visuals. This is an application by Google that was created kind of in the early days as XR was getting popular. Tilt Brush. It is still one of the more popular ways to create 3D art in a VR headset. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Brush. Have any of you tried to learn a 3D modeling program like Blender or Maya or 3ds Max, right? These programs are notoriously difficult to learn, in part because you are doing something fundamentally difficult. Your interface is only ever going to be 2D. You only have a 2D screen. Your mouse only moves on a 2D plane. And yet you're using a 2D interface to try and manipulate a 3D object or world. Okay? And so it's very difficult to do that. Well, when you put the VR headset on, you can actually physically move through 3D space. Your interface has gone from being 2D to being 3D. As a result, you can create impressive stuff exceptionally fast. But this move to a 3D interface doesn't come without costs. Because while you can very quickly create some cool stuff, very cool stuff, you cannot make anything precise. Okay? It simply is not going to be easy to make things that are precise in this kind of interface. And so this might be kind of what you're thinking about when it comes to creating art in XR or in game dev. But are aesthetics the only thing that matter when you are trying to create something that feels like a piece of art or artsy? Okay? There have been renowned pieces of art that have no visuals to them. You may have heard of the entire kind of literature field of poetry, okay? Which you would probably say does have aesthetics. They just don't play out on the screen. They play out in your mind as you read, okay? And so, is this really all that art can be in XR? Or can we go to something a little bit deeper? Okay, I showed you this previously before your eyes, right? A game that tries to basically read your eyes using your webcam, and it creates a biological timer, okay, and game mechanic by basically forcing the game to proceed every time you blink. And because you are a human being, you cannot hold your eyes open forever without enduring significant pain. And so this is a game that is able to create some very unusual situations and a very unique plot and some unique challenges and very painful moments in the game using this idea of a biological clock that deals pain to you physically in the real world, right? So an extremely interesting usage of gameplay mechanics to try and create an experience you can't get anywhere else. Does that feel artsy to you? Because, like you see up here, it is a winner of a BAFTA. I think that's the kind of British Arts Award show, one of them. You can definitely see it, okay? It feels artsy. It feels like it has something to say. And if you play it, you'll get a better feel for what that thing is, okay? Does anyone know who this is right here? This is a very famous individual. In the game industry, this is a very notorious individual. Does anyone know who this is? This is a famous film critic by the name of Roger Ebert. And like famous people are known to do from time to time, they sometimes talk about other industries and other things they're not really associated with. He had a very famous opinion on the topic of games. Him being an expert on film, at least an expert on the critique and analysis of film, he declared that video games can never be art. I think it's because the player's involved, right? So the author doesn't have full agency over their creation. I don't know the entire argument there. That can't be it. It can't be it. He's too well respected to make such a dumb argument. Anyway, does anyone know who this is? This is the late and great President Satoru Iwata of Nintendo, okay? And Nintendo, if you've ever played their games, if you've just spent some time with their products, their impact on popular culture, right, then you'll understand President Iwata's saying that video games are meant to be just one thing, fun. Fun for everyone. And these two opinions, right, this idea that games, right, they're not meant to be art. XR, right, is not really meant to be art. I want you to kind of make that decision yourself, okay? And I want to give you a few perspectives on that question. What makes something art? Can XR be art? Is it just the visuals that make something artsy, or is it something else, okay? Is it all of the above? I have a game here that's a pretty obscure game. Not a ton of people have played it. Some people in the industry have heard of it. It's a game called Passage. And I would like a volunteer. Would anyone like to play this game, Passage? I need a volunteer. Not too long, just a couple minutes. Not too hard. All you do is walk around. That's it. All right, come on up. Thank you. This is a game called Passage, and I've got one big question that I want you to be thinking about as you play the game, as you watch the game, okay? And that question is, was this game designed to be fun? Okay. And so, yeah, let's give it a shot, okay? It's just arrow keys, and that's pretty much it. Okay. Only thing to really know is you can go down as well, okay? Side to side and up. All right, go ahead. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll ask that question again. The question we began this game with. Do you think this game was designed for fun? Did you have a rockin' time?
No.
No. Oh, the game wasn't that fun? What? Come on, games are made to be fun, right? Now, could it be that this game was made for a different reason? And when you look at this game, it is very abstract. You're just a character kind of walking along, and sometimes you find treasure chests, sometimes you don't. Every time you play this game, you're probably going to play it in a slightly different way. For example, one of the first big questions of this game is, will you find a partner or not? Okay? And our player actually walked past her at the beginning of the game and skipped, and thus he lived a life of solitude. And that's fine. But notice a few things. With every step you take alone, you get 1 point. But if you team up with someone, now life is twice as sweet and you get 2 points for walking and proceeding. But there's a problem. Because the moment you team up with someone, now there are certain places, especially down low where the treasure is, where you simply can't fit anymore. You just can't get through the gaps. You can't get to the treasure, okay? If you want to, you can go down and you'll find that the going's much tougher. It's hard to navigate, but that's where the treasure is. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can just stay at the top of the screen where there are very few obstacles and just kind of coast, and you'll do all right. You'll get plenty of points that way. But you won't, you don't have any chance of getting a super high score, okay? In this game, if you do not have a partner, then you can simply move at a pretty good speed and explore and do whatever you want until you die, until the very end. But if you have a partner and your partner passes away, you will be crippled after that moment for the rest of the game. Okay? And so, I want to point out a couple more things. Regardless of whether you are moving right or not, you are being pushed over in that direction. And at the beginning of the game, things in the future seem so blurry and hard to make out. But at the end of the game, it's the things that are behind you that are blurry and hard to understand. Okay? And so, when you play this game, you get the impression it was not made for fun. The design decisions that Jason Rohrer made with this game, they just don't really make sense from that perspective. But if someone is maybe trying to make something else, maybe it's a man reflecting on what it has been like to proceed through life with its twists and turns and choices and sacrifices you have to make, things start to feel a little bit more cohesive. Things start to make a little bit more sense. Maybe not all games are made for fun. Okay? Now, I want to show you another game that is probably the least fun game that I've ever played. Okay? In fact, this game, Mainichi, is a very uncomfortable game. Okay? But we're going to play it. Okay? But that is definitely a warning. This is an uncomfortable game. Maddie Bryce created this game, Mainichi, because she has a fairly interesting and fairly kind of a rare life. Her day-to-day life is kind of different from how it is for many people. And she was having a difficult time expressing the challenges that she faces in life. And so she decided to make a game to help her friends walk a mile in her shoes. So I'm going to show you what that's like, and I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. And we're going to check out Mainichi, okay? And the kind of day that Maddie always faces. Mainichi is a Japanese word. I believe it means every day. Looks like I still have a couple hours before meeting up for coffee. Should probably start getting ready soon. Or I could be lazy and take a nap until then. Tempting. I should try being more positive today. Okay, so we are exploring Maddie's apartment in San Francisco. Gonna get ready to go to a meeting with a friend. I really shouldn't leave the house without some makeup. Okay, so we can put the makeup on, but I should go get a bath before I do that. Okay, is it time to bathe and shave before going out? Let's jump in. God, how is it still cold this time of year? I'll never get used to it. Oh, that's a good idea for a game. Ow, not the knee again. Ah, the water was so warm. Okay, put makeup on. It's only coffee with a friend, but I should probably put my face on before leaving. Just think of it like painting. Once you start, you can't go back, really. There, I look like me again. Pretty sure I have some food in the fridge. Haven't been eating well lately. Maybe I can sneak in some food before leaving. Let's warm these leftovers up. Peach curry chicken. Thank God for slow cookers. Looks like it's time to go. I don't want to keep her waiting. Okay, we are outside now. We're headed to the coffee shop. Okay, people are starting to look at us a little bit. Oh my God, look, is that a boy or a girl? Okay, shh, they'll hear you. But isn't that gross? Yeah, so let's get out of here. What's up, pretty? Hey, slow down, I want to talk to you. Oh shit, you're a man. Fuck. Okay, let's get out of here. That's someone's son. Did you see it? Watch out for that man. Let's get to the coffee shop quick. Okay, we made it to the coffee shop. Hey, Maddie, I'm over here. Hey there, hun. You mind getting me a coffee while I finish this call? You know my favorite. Okay, we'll go up in order. Hello there. Can I get you something? May I please have a hazelnut latte and a chai? No problem. Paying with cash or card today? I'm going to pay with card. Here you go. Thank you very much, Mr. Bryce. Your drink will be at the other end. Okay. Okay, let's go get the drink. Oh, it's that cute barista. Catches attention or sneak away when we can. We're gonna sneak away. Here's a hazelnut latte and a chai up at the bar. Okay. Caffeine delivery. Just in time. You look down. Is everything going okay in life? You know, the usual. It's hard to feel happy sometimes. Hey, you shouldn't care what other people think about you. Your friends love you, and that's all that matters. Yeah, thanks. This is not a long game, but it puts you in Maddie Bryce's shoes. And if you were one of Maddie's friends and you would say something like, hey, Maddie, right, don't care about what other people think of you, right? It's no big deal. Your friends love you. Well, that's easy to say when it's not your life, okay? But Maddie has to deal with these kind of things every single day. And this is the game that finally allowed her friends to get a feel for why, right, that last conversation is so painful. All right? This is a game made by Maddie Bryce, who is a trans woman in San Francisco. And the kind of challenges that she faces every day are challenges that you might not be used to if you have a different situation in your life. And so this was her way of helping people to walk a mile in someone else's shoes, in her shoes. And what you'll find is that you can read about the situations that people go through on the news. You can read about challenges people have faced throughout history. We recently played the Oregon Trail, right? Video games and XR, with their immersive interactivity, allow you to actually step into the shoes of people who are different than you, that have different circumstances, and help kind of spread empathy and understanding that way, okay? And so no matter what circumstances you're in, no matter what your life might be like, video games and XR might provide you a powerful opportunity to help people understand you a little bit better, okay? And understand the unique situation and challenges that you face. This game is not very long. You can play the game again and again and again, warping around the day, and the decisions you make will affect the day that Maddie has, okay? For instance, people will notice you much earlier on the streets if you don't put on the makeup. And you have to do that every single day, okay? It's very, very challenging. But not a game made for fun, not in the slightest. But I can show you a game that was partially, at least sarcastically, made for fun. Has anyone ever heard of a game called the Stanley Parable? Anyone? This is a game made by Davey Reedon, who's the brother of Doug Reedon. Has anyone ever heard of a YouTuber named Doug Doug? So Doug is a former coworker of mine at Electronic Arts. He was on the EA digital platform team, and he told me that this game took a lot out of Davey Reedon, his brother. It was very difficult to finish. He burned himself out working on it. And when you play the game, I think you're going to get a strong sense of why. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we can learn from the Stanley Parable. Has anyone played this game? Raise your hand if you have. Okay, very good, very good. Well, I think you're going to enjoy this.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-bending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All its co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Which door? Which door do I go in? Right? Okay.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yes, true, a room worth admiring.
It had really been worth the tour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Left? You sure?
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Elevator? I don't think I've ever done this route.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go from here it's left. Oh no, it's to the right. Mistake. No, not right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see, we went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. Just back to, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story is unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track. Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Well, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. I'm asking you. I know I wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I'm sure that it is somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story. I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story before. Do we restart the game again? I find that likely to never progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Aha! I knew we missed something. The story.
Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is it the story?
I don't think so. I can't quite recall whether my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what I was supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off.
So, good job.
Oh, no, I don't feel bad about this at all.
We both knew you didn't put in actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this is. I don't care what happened this time. I have to start. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that? No, I'm leading up to the line from now on. You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. No, here's a thought. Wherever we end up in our destination, even if there's no story there, or to another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. I've got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Wait,
what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? How could you have done this to us? After we trusted you, after everything we've been through, Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line altogether done for us. We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go on. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. You should be fine. A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk us for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, it must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with that counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? Since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing. Wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? Whatever it is that made that schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess we'll just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey. They're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime... Stan simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by, he no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Okay, so what you've seen right there are two different endings that we explored. And the first one was that long one with the adventure line, getting the confusion ending. The second ending we found was when you launch a new game and then you instantly close the door. Basically Stanley saying, hey, yeah, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to stay here. Thanks. This is a very well-known game in game design circles. And it's known in part because of its humor, right? It's kind of satire. That moment when you get to the two doors and you're asked to go to the left. In fact, the narrator says you go to the left. That is a very famous moment in game design. And it asks questions about things like free will. Okay? The game designer wants you to go to the left. Okay? The person who's written your story wants you to go to the left. But if you go to the right, you're kind of taking agency as a player. You get to make your own decisions. That is, after all, what games are about, right? Interactivity, you making your own choices and seeing the outcomes. However, there are only two doors here, and the only reason you're allowed to go through that right door is because the game designer programmed it in. So is this really free will that you have, or is it not? Is it just the designer giving you the option, the illusion of free will, something that they can take away very easily? In that first long ending, we discover that the narrator, the game designer, isn't necessarily in control of things either. He's got his own constraints as well. And there's a plan for him as well that he doesn't quite control. But there are so many different endings in this game. There's so many different choices you can make. And I love showing this every semester because I don't know what choices the students are going to make. I put pressure on all of you in tiny little subtle ways to make certain choices because I know of really fun, interesting endings. And I try and kind of push you toward them, but I can't control you completely. And so we got a completely new ending that I have never actually done before in this particular semester. So good for you. Well done. All right. So did that game feel artsy? Did it feel interesting? Was it fun? Yeah, I think a lot of people find Stanley Parable to be very creative, very fun, a very good sense of humor, good environments. Walking around is pretty simple and straightforward. It's fun to explore and find new endings. But I think it was also made for other purposes as well, not just to be fun. Of course, that is important. So I've got another game that I'd like to show you. There's this notion that artsy games, artsy things have a certain vibe to them, a certain feeling, a certain raise your pinky pretentiousness, okay, that makes something belong in a museum or belong in a junky theater with junk food being served to people who just want to turn their brains off, okay? And I want to show you a game called Pond. That is a very interesting example, a very interesting game in the world of games and XR as art. And I want to get your feel for it. This is a game that has a very kind of unique gameplay mechanic, and you can actually play this in real life while I play it in the game. This is a game in which the only thing you do is you breathe in, and then at the right moment, you breathe out. Exhale. Okay? And you need to do this with perfect timing. So I actually need to focus so I don't screw this up. If I screw this up, we have to watch a video because it's very easy to do. Okay, let's take a look. This is pond. I press spacebar to breathe in. We cannot start the game until I do so. I delight in the smaller things, the shape of the leaf, the curl of sunlight on the grasses. I set out before dawn, one foot afore the other, to see what wonders the day might hold. Does this game have an artistic vibe to you? Ask yourself why. What is it about the game that makes it feel like it might be art? Good art is open to interpretation. This game and its creators have a disdain for the idea that art has a certain aesthetic, a certain way it has to look, a certain way it has to sound. Games can't be art because they're too full of guns and loud noises and action and movement, that they're too similar to one another, that there are certain genres that dominate over others. This group of developers doesn't agree. And the idea that something is artsy because it has unique gameplay, that it has soft and serene aesthetics, okay, that's what makes something art. This team simply doesn't agree with that. This team made something that seems to be very opinionated and has something to say, which in my opinion feels more artistic than a lot of the things I see hung on walls around your local campus or museum. It has something to say. I want to show you another game. Has anyone played a game called Can Your Pet? This is one of those games. Has anyone played a Nintendogs game? Or any game like a Tamagotchi where you have a virtual character you're trying to take care of. You're trying to care for, you're trying to hang out with. Well, I want to show you this game. This is a very famous game. And it's the kind of game that if you grew up around the time I did, kind of in the late 90s and early 2000s, there's a very good chance you played this game in your internet browser, maybe even during a class. I want to show you this game, and I think you'll see its appeal. I think you're going to understand why this game exists pretty quickly. This is Can Your Pet?
Johnny? Yeah? When was the first time you heard a naughty word? First time I heard a naughty word was when I was a child. I heard it from the chickens. Me granny, she went wild. Me granny says, now Johnny, the chicken said, of course. Big horses, I to granny, 'twas the chicken said it first. can talk. And this is what they say when the chicken say to live. Then up the yard me granny came and lesson off a shout. She said to me, now Johnny, shut that effing chicken's mouth.
Okay, can your pet. All right, so this is a game that isn't really trying to be super subtle about what thoughts it has on certain industries, certain eating habits, and it uses that interactivity to kind of lull you into this nice, cozy relationship with a cute little character you're taking care of. And then it tricks you into brutally murdering that character in a way that may make you wonder about some of your dietary choices, okay? The author's opinions on the poultry industry are pretty unsubtle here, okay? And this is the kind of game that kind of spread virally in the early 2000s because you would hand it off to a friend of yours who would assume it's like a Tamagotchi, Nintendo-style game. And a few minutes in, when they go to use the, air quotes, bicycle mechanic to help the bird have a fun time, they do the deed, and they're probably scarred, and they're not going to be forgetting that for quite a while, okay? So there are a lot of interactive VR and game dev experiments out there, and XR experiments, that try and do something like this, okay? These pieces of software are putting you in a position to receive certain ideas or perspectives on things, and it does lend to this idea that sometimes fun and engagement is not just the only thing you're trying to achieve, okay? Sometimes you're trying to get other ideas across as well. In terms of experimental gameplay, okay, sometimes you can do things with aesthetics that are very interesting, or not just with aesthetics, but with gameplay and rules and mechanics as well. Braid is a game in which you manipulate time, and you spend most of the game, 99% of it, just solving interesting time-related puzzles. The vast majority of the game's story and context and narrative occur in the final level, in which some pretty disturbing things happen. And your ability to manipulate time is kind of turned against you, okay? And I'll leave you to explore that if the topic intrigues you. But Braid has some dark secrets in it that might be of interest, especially if you play it to the end. One Single Life is an interesting game. It's a mobile game. And it is a platformer. You are a parkour character, and you are jumping across the tops of these buildings. Now, the interesting thing about this is not necessarily the jumping. It doesn't feel that good. The physics aren't that interesting. There aren't a ton of different gameplay mechanics here. But what is very interesting is the fact that you're only ever allowed to play it one time. As in, if you play this game and you die, then you cannot play it again. You only have one single life. There are no respawns. And the game goes to tremendous efforts to try and prevent you from simply uninstalling and reinstalling the game, wiping data, and trying to get a second crack at the game. So even though this game is fairly simplistic and basic in many ways, the fact that you only ever get to play it once makes everything a little bit higher stakes, doesn't it? It feels a bit different when you know that messing up this jump will mean you never get to try it again. Which, by the way, is how it works in our real lives, okay? So be careful if you ever want to go jumping across building tops like Spider-Man, and I would advise against it personally. But at least know what you're getting yourself into. You don't respond. As far as we know, you don't respond. Okay, Papers, Please. A very well-known game that many people have described as artistic. This is a game that is fun in many ways, somehow, because this game is about you playing as a border agent. You need to accept people's paperwork, examine it, and then decide whether to deny or approve someone trying to enter the border of your country. The game is set in kind of the, 60s, 70s, 80s era, Eastern Europe style. And there are civil wars happening. There is great conflict and tension between neighboring nations. And there are a lot of people trying to escape a lot of danger to get into your country. And so you need to decide whether you're going to let them in. Will you be empathetic if they don't have every last bit of paperwork? If they tell you they'll be killed if they can't get through, will you take the hit and allow them to get in? And will you pay the price for your empathy? Lots of interesting decisions. It turns out being a border agent has a lot more drama and a lot more intrigue than you might expect. Okay? And the game does a fantastic job of giving you very difficult decisions to make. Now, we don't have time to play this game, but what we do have time for is to watch the film, which tries to channel a lot of the energy of the game and its difficult decision-making and the high stakes of the game. It channels that into about a 10-minute film, okay, that was released in 2018 in collaboration with Lucas Pope, the creator of the game. It was shot and filmed and even stars a lot of Eastern European actors, which is super, super cool given that the game is set in Eastern Europe. And so what I want to do is I want to watch this short film, Papers, Please, and I want you to get a feel for what makes a film like this feel a bit artistic, okay? What does it mean for something to be artsy? Okay, is it just an aesthetic? Is it just a vibe? Or is it something else? Or is it all of the above? Or none of the above? Let's take a look. This is Papers, Please. Please pay attention to how the film communicates what the characters are thinking and feeling. You can't make your own decision because this is not a game, but you can watch other characters make theirs. How does the film communicate what they are thinking about and what they are weighing when they make difficult decisions? I want to watch this in full screen. It's good stuff. Let's give it a shot.
Слава Арстоцкий, инспектор!
Слава Арстоцкий, офицер.
Господи.
Не могу знать. Но чтобы произошло, должно случиться именно сегодня. Понимаешь? В любом случае я должен. Она не права. Хорошо потрудиться в Новгороде, инспектор!
И вам, офицер. Следующий.
Ваши документы. Цель визита. Продолжительность.
3 месяца.
Разрешение на работу. Время пребывания здесь.
Пожалуйста, я как только приеду, я сразу же. Я договорился работать 4 месяца. У меня семья, я не смогу их кормить. А вам ничего не стоит, вы же штамп стоит только в паспорте. Никто не узнает.
Простите. Следующий. Вас отсутствует право на въезд.
Я Серка. Сказал, можете помочь.
Отсутствует право на въезд.
Я прошу вас. Вся моя семья погибла. У меня никого, кроме Сереги. Здесь про меня, да?
Простите меня.
Понимаю. Передавайте Сереге. Прощайте.
Следующий. Цель визита.
Сестра у меня здесь живет. Уже 3 года не виделись.
Продолжительность.
Ну, пару дней всего, а потом уже назад лететь надо.
Добро пожаловать в Арстовку.
Спасибо, инспектор. Следом идет моя жена, так вы с ней не слишком строго, она впечатлительная, потом всю ночь спать не даст.
Ой, передо мной сейчас муж мой был. Надеюсь, не сильно вам доел.
Цель визита.
К сестре, господи. Вот утащил на старости лет. Небось,
Продолжительность.
денька на 3, не больше. Ну где ты на хозяйство проставить, а мы по гостям шляемся.
В вашем паспорте ваша фамилия указана как Рабинский.
А правильно есть как ради нести.
Да я всю жизнь с этим мучаюсь, как только не исключен. Получаешь свидетельство, там я с мягким знаком. Паспорт меняешь без. Кто ж их разберет там? Один раз, знаете, даже Рабынский было. Вы уж не обессудьте, пустите. Он же мне потом проезд всю проходу мне не даст, все припрягать будет. Прошу вас, миленький. Я ж назад туда нормально не доберусь, все деньги-то он забрал.
Следующий раз отправь.
Спасибо тебе, родней. До конца жизни не забуду.
Следующий. Ваши документы.
Закалечу.
Okay, right? So Papers, Please, if you haven't played it, is a kind of border control game in which you have to make a lot of very difficult decisions, not only scanning through people's documentation to make sure it makes regulation, but you also have to make difficult decisions narratively when you decide to forego the regulations and let people through even if they don't quite check all the boxes. Right? And there is a larger narrative about the tensions between the countries in the game, the fictional countries, based very much on real countries and conflicts that even exist today. It's very tense, okay? You make a mistake and the consequences are severe. Not only for you and your in-game family, which you have to take care of. You have to perform well to take care of them. They get sick. You have to make more money, you have to do more work, you have to not make mistakes, but also for the stability of the country that you are guarding the border of. So it is a game that is full of intrigue and full of tension and interesting decisions that kind of immerse you in some of the very gray nature of border control. Okay, a topic that is certainly of interest today. This idea that video games can never be art, this idea that games are only meant to be fun for everyone, is something that I will leave to you to decide, okay? There are a lot of different XR and game dev experiences out there, and one of the best things that you can possibly do is go experience as many of them as you can. Find yourself developing opinions about the things that you play, okay? Look at the things that you watch, the media, the art that you consume with a critical eye. What do you like about it? What do you not? How does it work? How does it fall apart? And you will find yourself having much, much more satisfaction from the things that you engage with, okay? And no, it is totally okay to enjoy junk food, okay, from time to time. Keep that in mind as well. This topic, this question of are video games art, is XR art, actually did become a legal question at a point in time. This was a 2010 case, so a bit over a decade ago. The question of whether this stuff is considered art was actually very important legally. The Supreme Court of the United States in Brown versus Entertainment Merchants Association had to figure this out. In other words, these people who don't look like they play many video games or have ever put on a VR headset had to make some very important decisions about this stuff. So let's see what happened. There was a push in California to make it completely illegal, as in jail time, for minors, and I think actually for people to sell a video game to minors that is of a certain rating, right? So M for mature should probably not be sold to people who have not reached the age of, I forget what it is, like 16 or something like that. I forget the ESRB requirements. Unfortunately, sometimes shops like GameStop and retailers like Walmart, they sell games, sometimes accidentally, sometimes mischievously, to people who the game is not rated for. If you've ever heard of the ESRB, it is an industry-wide standard, at least in the USA, for rating games for age purposes. So if a game is rated T for teen, it should not be given to children who are 9. They should not be able to purchase that game. Games rated M for mature should not be sold to people who are not kind of entering that young adult phase, okay? And the legal question here was whether the government has the ability to punish, as in throw in jail or fine people who sell games that are over the age for minors, for kids. And one of the sticking points here is, at least in the USA, there's the First Amendment to the Constitution, which tries to protect freedom of speech and artistic expression. The idea is that the federal and state and local municipalities, basically government, should not be allowed to censor artistic works, censor works that have some sort of thought or idea or something it's trying to say for any reason. And so it was eventually decided 70-2 that yes, games and XR are artistic works, which means they're considered speech, which means that California can't regulate them in the way that they wanted. Okay, so these days there are regulations, kind of, for protecting children from games that are rated a little bit above their age, but this is done industry-wide and it's done commercially, as in by the companies, by the teams, by the studios themselves. It is not a federal or municipal thing. Okay. So anyway, keep this in mind. You are all engineers. You're all producers, okay? You're engineers because you're programming. You're making the actual products. You're producers because you are managing the time that goes into them, the resources, the personnel. Who's working on what? How much time do they get? Okay, how much resources do they get? You are designers, okay? Because you are trying to figure out what you need to make, not just how to make it run, but what should we make, the why. Right? Why do we make the things that we do? And you are all artists, okay? Because hopefully when you go to make something, you are not just thinking about how to make the most money or how to get the most points on the assignment, okay? Every time you go to make something, every time you engage in that holy act of creation, I encourage you to ask yourself the very personal question of why am I making the thing that I'm making? Is there something else I would rather make? Is there something that I would like to say? Is there some perspective or some idea that I would like to put out there into the world for other people to engage with and maybe find value in encountering, okay? And if you do these things, in my opinion, you are creating art, okay? And so I encourage you to go make art whenever you can. But I will also request from you one thing. Always remember that every artistic endeavor has two authors, the person who makes it and the person who consumes it, the person who interprets it. When you go out there and you try and make art, especially in 2025, sometimes the art that you make will be interpreted in ways that you did not anticipate and that you do not like, okay? But know that you simply don't have control over this. Not much, anyway, all right? When you put something out into the world, some people will love it, some people will hate it, most people will probably not care. So just be ready for that. And when you encounter something that rubs you the wrong way out there, I think that's okay. All right. I think good art makes you ask questions that are sometimes uncomfortable. And good art does not always going to be pleasant. It's not always going to rub you the right way. Okay. And your art won't rub everyone the right way either. So just keep that in mind and try and be respectful and patient and empathetic. I'll tell you, someone who's made art and put it out there and gotten unexpected reactions to it, you never know. You never know how people are going to feel about the things you create. So please be patient when you engage with the things that other people create. It's very hard to fully understand what the artist was going for. And sometimes it just gets away from them, okay? But sometimes they nail it, and I hope you will too. All right, everyone. We will see you next week. We will see you next week for, let me check the schedule real quick, a play test and a film on Monday, and then we will have our final lecture of the course on Wednesday, all right? And that's it's going to be a wrap, okay? Take care, everyone. I will see you next time. Bye-bye. All right, everyone online, I'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.